I thought I would do a very basic video because I tried to show a friend how to use it, and I realised, and it reminded me of how difficult I found Comfy when I first opened it up and looked at it and went, what the hell's this? Anyway, so I'm not going to show you how to make this stuff. I'll give you this workflow, and this is just a basic Flux. It's Flux because it's just the easiest general purpose model, really. The other one is SDXL. Everything I'm going to show you would be very similar or the same in SDXL. So we'll go through what's here. We just do it straight left to right. We have a text multi-line here. There we go, with a very corny prompt. And that's where you write your prompt, what you want to see. Then moving across, we have a load checkpoint. So I'm using Flux Compact, which I find very easy, and it's FP8, so it's not too monstrously, you can use the FP16, but really, it doesn't really make much difference. Not with the sort of thing I do. Anyway, so it might. I do illustrations, and this is going to be illustration focused. So be warned if you're into doing photos, follow it along. But I'll be missing stuff out that you might need to know. This is the model sampling node, which does something. I've no idea what. But anyway, I did test it. It does make things better. So I always have that in there. This is the text encode, so this takes the words from here and turns it into a string of numbers, which goes off into there. And then we have an empty latent image, which just is the noise square, which is 1024 square, from which you start. So this is you can change this, but we'll get more into that in a bit because. We won't leave that like that because there's more convenient ways of doing it. And continuing over here, and all of this stuff here in SDXL or in other samplers will all be in the sampler. I like to use this because it's all out separate and I can mess around with it. So there's Flux guidance. If you want very finished images, then 2.4, 2.5 is good. As you go down to 1.8, 1.5, that's where the sketchy drawings, rough stuff, but that you have problems in that you'll get more dodgy hands and so on. So I usually go between 2 and 2.5. That seems so good. The sampler, that's the bit. This is the best general purpose one. There are other ones in there, lots of them. This one works fine though, so I don't touch it. Then we have the scheduler. And this has some quite important things in it. It has a number of steps, which is the number of times it'll go through the transformer. And if you only do a couple of steps, I'll show you this when we do it. Denoise is for doing image to image. So if we're doing text to image, as we are here, then the denoise stays at 1. We will cover the denoise in a few moments. The basic guider, well, I don't know what it does. Do you? Do you care? I don't care. Then we have the sampler, which has no options on it at all because they're all out in these boxes. So you just do the output. I leave the noise in it because I might go off refining it. And if this is your finished image, then you could take it from the denoised output, which goes into the decode, and that'll give you your preview image over here. I use a preview image. You can use a save image if you want, but if you right-click the preview image, you can save it anyway. Okay, so let's see what we get. There you go. Bring the prompt over underneath, and this is the first thing you need to do. Check that you've got the stuff you asked for. I know it's really obvious, but that tells you if your prompt is working properly. So we've got the illustration. It's an illustration. Beautiful cyborg in black leathers. Is she a cyborg? Not what I think a cyborg is, but anyway, black leathers. She might be. There might be all cogs underneath. Oh, you don't know, do you? Anyway, city street, yes. Wet tarmac, yes. Late at night, yes. Neon lights. So that's all good. And that's the very first basic thing you can do. And just to show how it all works, we can take, we'll change this to a robot in black armor. And for the full cheese, glowing eyes. There you go. Can't have more corny than that. And we'll run that. And we should see our busty lady, who is not very cyborgy, I don't think, but anyway, turn into a robot. There you go. Easy peasy, eh? Now, we get to the random noise. The random noise seed is the noise the sampler starts with, so the initial state that it develops this image from. Every one of these makes a different patch of random noise. So if I change this number and run it again, we will get the same picture, but a different robot. There we go. I prefer that one. So every single seed, going up to infinity, well, not quite infinity, but very close, you can have more robots than you can ever know what to do with. And because it's flux, they'll all look great. You'll very soon get bored with robots. I did. But we'll delve into how to make it more exciting in a moment. So we've got one more control in here. You can make the random noise fixed, or go one number, or random. I have it fixed because it's not very exhausting pressing this button. See, it's quite easy. I hardly used any energy at all. Okay, so that's all good. Now, at the moment, we've only got squares, and we've got to type the numbers in. So what I use is a different node, and we'll show you how to get that. So if you double-click anywhere here, we can search for things. And what we want to do is we'll put in XDL resolutions, empty latent size. So here you go. This is the essentials one, which is the one I use really. So instead of our empty latent image, we can have this instead. So what I do, you just click on this, and there it is. And we can now pop this into our latent image. And if we click on this, all these controls come onto the top. You can change the color of it there. This will make it, just takes it out of the circuit. So it passes anything. It's got to pass through, and it disables it essentially. This stops you moving it accidentally. That shrinks it down. This throws it away. This tells you about it. There you go. Look at that. So we don't want that, so we can click the bin, and it'll go away. Now, we need to tell the model sampling, you see here, what size it is. So it's convenient if this does that. So here we go. Put that in the width, that in the height. Just drag it near, and it'll click onto it. So there's our empty latent size picker. So now we can choose some different shapes. So we'll go a bit more landscapey, shall we? And this is much more convenient than typing numbers in. And it really likes to have these resolutions, because these resolutions were trained into the model. There we are. Another lovely cyborg. Okay, so we're getting on. We've got one more thing in here. If we want to do several images to pick the best one, I'll just do two. So we could go on a seed, click run, and there we are. We have two cyborgs. Isn't that good? You may notice that our cyborg has come really up close to us. The way you get around that, we'll take these down again, it's because I added all this information about it. So if I added to the description of the place, so I could just add, just a load of guff, doesn't matter what, so things you'd see in a city street. Hanging signs be one thing, and we'll say pedestrians, and that's probably enough. We'll add maybe another thing. We'll say dumpster, STER. Now we should see, it won't do it now I've asked, but it should make him a bit smaller. There's another way of bringing him into shot. There you go. So by adding detail to the background, I've made the background more important, him less important, and so what we've done, by magic, we've got his feet in there. The other way of doing it is to describe his feet. And then if you describe his feet, the AI thinks, well, we've got to have feet in the picture, so you'll get all of him. So you could add add glowing eyes, and you could say, so I've made him more important now. So we'll lose the feet, but we will get a belt. I'll run that. So all I've done is change those few words. It won't change at all now, just to annoy me. There you go. So he's come in. So anyway, you can push your figure away and so on by using that method. And you notice as the description has got greater, the picture has got nicer. So you do have to have a certain amount of description, but people take it to ridiculous lengths and go the full Tolstoy. If you put War and Peace in here, it will just get confused. Okay, so that's the absolute basics. Now, we'll do image to image. So image to image, we need to put in an image. So we double click, load image. There we go. And if you drag out from image, here we go, and let go, it'll give you some suggestions. VA encode, just what we needed. So that's going to go in here. That I usually have that in here, so we'll make a little room for it. You can resize these groups. Groups are a handy way of joining bits of nodes together, and the most important use of them is to turn that to never, so you can stop groups running. There, to always, and then it comes back again. And you can pin the whole group, so you don't accidentally drag stuff around. And it'll pin everything in it. You make a group in the first place just by right-clicking, add group. There you go. You got add node, which will send you off to a huge list. So I don't use that a lot. So mostly I double-click a search or drag out and let go and search. Now, so this latent here is going in here. Okay. So we've got an image, and it's going to adjust this image. And that's not going to work very well, but we'll run it anyway. And we have to do the VAE. See the VAE here? This is to encodes and decodes the latent. And the latent is just the image in latent space. So it's in a huge matrix of numbers. Oh, and I made a mistake, didn't I? So let's cancel that, and you cancel run here. Now, this image is quite big. Look, it says on the bottom, 3,000. So that's going to take ages. So if we drag this out and do search and put in size, if you go down here, there's all the things that might change the size. Image resize, quite nice. I'm not sure if that's the one I use. We might. No, I don't use that one. I don't think I use that one. Maybe I do. That's the one I use. Okay, so we've got image resize, which needs to go in between there. So it's taking the image we're going to image from. An image to image is when you're starting off with an image. Essentially, it's making your latent going in here, making this latent already have some structure. So it's a little bit along the way to making an image, and that's why it'll resemble this a bit. However, we now need to change this to resize. See, resize. I'll bring it close. And you can just drag this, resize width, resize height, and it'll automatically resize this to whatever you've set here, which is very handy. We'll put that down here. So what we've got here is a little group that sorts out any image we're putting in from image. So they could go in a little group. So we'll make a group, add group, and then you can name your group here, which I'll just call image input, and then we can fit that around our nodes. And if you right-click, you'll see fit group to nodes. Fit group to nodes. Look at that, just like that. So that's keeping everything nice and tidy. And if you're as attentive as me, then you love having everything tidy. I want that lined up. You see this there. Oh, that is so good. Right. So now we're only doing this size, so it won't take forever. We've got a very inappropriate image there. It didn't change. Now, why was that? Well, you remember I mentioned the denoise. The denoise is how much it changes. So if the denoise is at 1, it ignores this entirely and just does, it's as if you put an empty latent in. So if I drop the denoise, say to about 75 here, we'll see what we get. And this time the image will change. So we haven't changed the seed or the prompt or anything at all. There we go. And it's become a drawing, which this is. So it's taken on some of the attributes of that. If I get it up to 85, then it'll be less of a drawing, but it'll still be having some influence. There we go. So 85 is probably too much. We've lost all the drawing. But what we could do is change the prompt. So we've got an illustration. But if I put a space comic strip drawing and put black outlines, so I've done a little description of how the image is. Now I've not changed anything else. And we'll see if that works. So that means I've put in a little bit of text that is good for this picture. And there we go. If you have a look at this, we have gone drawn. just like that, just by adding a few words. Okay, so that's all well. I'll just cover the other denoisy thing. In Flux, I in this first stage, I don't often go below 65. But if you do 0, it'll just do this image. I won't demonstrate it because it's a waste of time. But if you do 0, it'll just make this image. We do use things like 45 to 50 when we're refining. When we are taking an almost finished image and just tweaking it. So that's when we use those lower denoises. But for now, we want to be up here. We'll try 80, and we'll change the seed, and then we'll move on. And there we go. So we're going back to the drawing. We've gone almost monochrome, and we've still got our city street, and we've got neon lights, etc., etc. I could put a more useful image in there. Let's just choose one that might have more relevance. Let's put that one in. So it has more of a chance there. That was an inappropriate image to put in. There we go. Isn't that nice? So it's taken a bit of the colour. See the colour, the red over here, and a bit of the drawing feel, and it's made quite a nice image. There you go. It's an illustration, sort of manga-y sort of thing. Okay, so that's all great. Now, Flux is not great at styles. It's not great. So what we have to do to make this image more interesting is to use a LoRA. So if we pull out from model, doing it from the wrong one. Pull out from model, let go, search, and just put in LoRA. And you get lots of options. And when you go over them, you see there's a preview on the left appears. All sorts of LoRA loaders. They all work fine. There we go. What I tend to use, I think it's that one, is this, because I can add lots of LoRAs. So, but we do need to plumb it in. So you can see any of the empty dots all need to be filled. So we got to add the clip, and then the model here has to go to all of the model dots here. There's another one somewhere. There. And then the clip has to go to the text encoder. There we go. So what we can do, and this means that you can add as many LoRAs as you want. And if you click on here, you may not have LoRAs, but you can you put them in the LoRAs folder. There's other. So when you click on it, provided you've got LoRAs in there, which you can download from Civet and from Hugging Face. I'll put a link to my ones on Hugging Face. You can download them, and you stick them in the LoRAs folder in the models in your in your folder. I'll quickly show you where they are. So if we go to app, this is the Comfy app, models, LoRAs, and we literally drag them in here, and then when we restart Comfy, they'll reappear. So we can add a LoRA, and I'll do a comic. We'll carry on with a comic strip theme. This is a comic strip LoRA. You don't want them too massively strong. Very poor LoRAs need to be strong, but decent ones don't. So what we can do, we'll put this in, I don't know, halfway. 75 should be fine. And I haven't changed anything. I've only added the LoRA. So we'll see what happens. There we go. See how it's changed. Not necessarily for the better. 75 is too strong. So if we go down to 45 and run that again, we'll change the seed. With Flux, you do get bad seeds, but you see how it's changed the camera angle. This LoRA does curve perspective, so you see we've got some funky curve perspective there. There we go. So that's even more comic strippy now. You could just put some word balloons in and you're ready to go. Okay, so next, I want that even lower actually. We'll put in another LoRA, just to show you can layer them. And we'll put in a general quality LoRA, these LoRAs are on Hugging Face. I'll put a link to them. And you don't really want to, if all your LoRAs add up to about 1.5 or 2, is the absolute max. So if you've got 2 LoRAs, they can add up to a 1. If you've got 5 or 6 LoRAs, they can add up to about 1.5, 1.5. But if they go more than that, you'll just get weird stuff happening. Not good weird stuff. You get poor quality images. And there we go. You see how it improved. So LoRAs are a way of applying styles, and they also can supply content. So if we go in here, we go to Mech. I put mine in folders, so they come up in folders. See Mecha, there's a folder there. And there's all sorts of roboty things here. There's a version 6. I have no idea what version 6 is like. I trained the LoRa, but I still don't know what it's like. Again, this is not a comic strip LoRa, so it'll probably become a little less comic strippy. But the robot should get fancier. There we go. In fact, the whole lot got a bit better, didn't it? I don't know why he's got a little apron on. I have no idea whatsoever. But for me, that's the good thing. The bigger, newer models like Nano Banana and Quen, etc., I find boring. They follow your prompt, but I want to be surprised. I don't want something I could imagine. I want something I probably couldn't imagine. That's just my feeling, anyway. So we've got this image, but we're still at quite a low resolution here. So maybe, and the details aren't great. So we want to refine it. So first of all, we need to upscale. So we go, let go, search. You go upscale, upscale image, upscale, and there's all sorts of different upscales you can do. That's a very basic one. Upscale image by upscale using model. So this is like intelligently upscales it fairly. So if you pull out from the upscale model, let go, upscale model loader. There you go. And you can pick from various upscale models. I don't have any upscale models. I only ever use the one. And the other thing you can do at this moment is in between, you can do a bit of a color correct. So we do a search again, and we go correct, and we go color correct. There you go. And that's all good. So we've upscaled the image. We've doubled the size, which is probably too much, but we'll deal with that in a moment. So this can go in a group. Right-click, add group. We call it upscale. Make it cover things. Right-click, fit group to nodes. There we go. And I have to have that the same length. Sorry. Ah, perfect. So good. Right. Now, we have to duplicate this lot. And there's a few. You can copy and paste the whole lot. What you could do is to select the whole lot, hold down Control, select the whole lot, right-click, save selected as template. Give it a name. I call it Simple Process. And it's worth doing this because if you need this again, all you do is just drop it in. It's fine. So if you right-click, no templates, right down the bottom, Simple Process. There it is, duplicated. Isn't that good? Now, it needs plumbing. So what we need to do is to plumb it in. So what we do, we take it out from here, and we go down to... This reroute is the new one. It's horrible. So I use the old-fashioned ones. And what I'm making is a bus across here. And so this is the clip, but what we need is the conditioning. That's reroute. And we need the VAE. Reroute. There you go. So we can actually, to make things tidy, and you've probably already realized I like things tidy due to my upbringing, I think. It's my mother's fault. There we go. And that's tidied everything up. So it's all a lot neater and tidier. I've done that wrong. There we go. That goes in there, and that goes in there. Okay, so that's all very good. And we need all this over here. So we do the same thing. And that's the new reroute. I don't like it at all. Horrible. These reroutes are much better and much easier to see what's going on. And also, if you've got several of these, you can colour these as well. And you can name them. There's a version of these in there somewhere that you can name, which I find very useful. So this has to be wired up. So all the dots need to be filled. VA. So that's all good. Now, one thing we're going to hit is that we don't really want it twice the size. 1.5 would be better. So what we can do is, you see we have this image resize here. If you hold down Alt and drag, you'll get a copy of it. There you go. That can go in there. And I do love tidying up. I don't know why, but I do. I see some people worse than me, though. Okay, so we're taking our image out of the color correct here. Goes into image resize. That goes into there. And we want to rescale this time. So if you click this, it goes to rescale. And we want 1.5, which means it's 0.75 of 2. So that makes the image not too large. Now, denoise here can be way down. So we'll go to 45. We'll go to 50. So that is going to upscale this image. We need a different seed. You must always have a different seed. So we run that. Usually it gives me red type if I haven't joined anything on. So if you haven't joined anything on, you'll get a warning telling you you're very bad and evil. So this will take a little bit longer, but there we go. So everything is refined. You see, everything is a little bit crisper and nicer and lovelier. And we'll stop there because that's long enough for one chunk. So I hope that was interesting. There will be part 2 where we'll start from this basic image, from this where we've got. But first of all, we want to save this off. So we'll show you how to do that as a work. So it was called Simple Flux. So if I go here, File, Save As, I'll call it, not basic, I've used basic. I'll call it Beginner Flux. V1, there we go. So that's called Begin Flux. We can close Simple Flux, and I don't want to change it. So now, if I go over here to Workflows, Beginner's Flux will be here. Begin Flux, V1. So that's this one. And that's it, I think. I hope that was useful. There will be a part 2 in a day or so. Thanks for your attention.